right, welcome to Meade in the Middle. We've got two new guests here. My first new guest is a husband and father of two. He's the best real estate attorney that I know in all 12 counties. He also is a host of a hit show, Ox Talks. He used to be a fat kid, and now all the moms at his kids' private school check him out. Matt Ward.
How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good to be
You
here.
were never fat. He was never fat.
I was a big one.
He's a fat kid.
I was a
When you were a kid?
no.
But now look at him.
In 2018, December 31st, New Year's Eve, I have a picture of myself. I was pushing 280.
What? You were
Yeah.
fat.
I was at Masters with my wife and my kids. And I looked at myself. The next month, I said, "Yeah, I changed."
Really?
That was like the point, right? I just said that enough's enough.
Yeah.
And now you're 210, right?
I'm about 210. Yeah.
That's a lot of weight, man.
And our next guest, he's my only older brother. He's also a local attorney, and the hit show Better Call Saul was actually based on his life. Not a lot of people know that. He's terrified of seagulls at the beach, and he loves to eat butter from spoons. James, you can't take me down, Chickalese.
But, I ate a lot of, I do. I eat a lot of butter. I eat a lot of fish oil and olive oil every day. Yeah, I do a lot of that, man.
Yeah.
It's good for the joints.
Fats are good for you.
What's that?
Fats are good for you.
I mean-
People claim it's all the whole, stuff.
Tell him.
I like to start the show with conspiracies that came true.
Ugh.
And I know you guys don't want to do this, but this one's an easy one.
All right.
Eggs are now good for us again.
Yeah, I read that article 2 days ago. I sent it to Pulick
Mm-hmm.
because he's my very best friend. He won't shut up about his high cholesterol. Back in New Jersey, he's like, I got cholesterol. I'm like, all right. And he won't eat eggs. So it turns out eating eggs high in cholesterol has no effect on your cholesterol.
I believe that. Eggs have always been a superfood, right? I mean,
Show the food pyramid. So I remember growing up, and even like 4 years ago, I love eggs, but I knew I was doing something bad. So I'd have an egg. I'd be like, I got to limit this. Maybe 1 or 2 eggs. Look at where it is in the food pyramid. So the best thing for us to be consuming is sugar, right? It's breads and pastas and crackers and all this stuff that's processed. Bread and everything is actually not good for you. White bread's horrible for you.
Horrible.
And look at the bottom of the pyramid, right above oils and sweets, you got steak, eggs, cheeses, stuff like that. I mean, this has been fed down to us, and it all started with the food industry lobbying Congress in the 1960s to push their agenda to move their product, mainly cereal. So the whole cereal thing, we used to eat eggs and bacon and everything as kids. And then in the 1960s, they started pushing cereal as a healthy breakfast and placed eggs as bad food, right? Not good for you. You should limit the intake. And it goes into just like how everything in our world seems to be shaped by, private companies interfering with our elected officials to push an agenda that makes them profits, right? And it's not just eggs. It's like everything.
I blame the noodle companies, right? No, I mean, honestly, right? Growing up, how much, cereal, Captain Crunch, Apple
that was the
Jacks, all
deal.
that crap.
Yep.
Kids don't have it today. Saturday morning cartoons, I would get up and I'd get myself a bowl of cereal and turn on the cartoon.
we had Frosted Flakes. Now my mom would cut up a banana in the Frosted Flakes. This is in the 70s.
Yeah.
But we had Frosted Flakes every morning. You look at a box of Frosted Flakes, the sugar content in those things and the carbs and the one bowl of Frosted Flakes, right? But for some reason in the 70s, the kids were not, I don't want to sound brutal, but it's just different now. Somehow we didn't get like 250 pounds. So maybe they've changed the composition of some of the stuff, but it's still
too many.
fat.
I didn't know. Talking about chubby. I didn't know too many fat kids when I was.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm thinking of one kid. I'm not going to say his name, and he was a lard ass. He was a kid from around the corner, and he was always had something in his mouth, and he just didn't exercise. We'd make fun of him. Other than that, I didn't know any fat.
I agree. Now that's the rule, that's the rule, not the exception. They're all.
Is it really, or are we just kind of?
I don't know.
Well, how'd you lose your weight? You lost all your weight?
Well, I'm talking about the 70s, man.
Oh, I mean, you.
Oh,
How did you lose your weight?
portion control. There are fats we talked about earlier. There are fats that are not good for you.
Yeah.
Like you load up on salad dressing. Dude, I used to pour a bowl of blue cheese and dip steak into blue cheese at dinner with a cocktail, right? So it's like just certain things you can make certain decisions and change things that cut out massive amounts of bad fats, right? And portion control. So you just gotta make smart decisions. But yeah, but minimizing carbohydrates, processed stuff, white bread, stuff like that, you gotta knock that.
Well, he said it with the bread. I just saw a thing on one of this female podcast or skinny gal, kind of annoying, but she had a guest who was talking about bread and how it's changed over the last 100 years. And I know for a fact, what's that, glyphosate?
Or is it-
Yeah, they don't allow that crap in
Europe.
In Europe. My wife buys those einkorn berries, and I sprout them, and then we grind them up, and that's what we use for our bread. And I'm able to now eat bread without like getting all inflamed. I wouldn't get like really bad dandruff and bad, like, even around my eyebrows. I would get real flaky skin if I ate too much like white bread or pizza.
Interesting.
Pizza, pasta, all this stuff I love and we eat all the time. But my daughter and I, we get upset stomachs, right? We get bowel issues, all these issues when we eat pasta.
Nick,
We were in Italy for what, 3 weeks,
nothing.
and then we're in Switzerland for 3 weeks. Nothing, and we were eating pizza and like we were getting full on smaller portions, and we didn't. I was going to the restaurant once every 2 days, not 3 times a day. Like it was complete different. I felt better.
Yeah, we were in Paris last summer. Baguettes and butter felt fine.
Totally fine.
Then we went down to Italy, same deal. 2 weeks in Italy, never ate the pasta, ate the bread. It felt fantastic. The pizzas, right? It is something.
And where was this?
This is Europe. We started in Paris, and then we did a week there, and then went down to Italy, and we did 3 cities there. But the food, I agree. You don't feel bloated. You don't feel as just sick.
Well, the safety nets of not only just our government and what they're telling us in nutrition, but it floats right down to education, is all screwed up because of lobbying. There's no maternity leave mandatory in the United States like there are in a lot of European countries because the baby formula companies lobbied hard.
Oh, come on.
They did. They lobbied hard
How do you know
against it. Look it up.
You're blaming
Look-
big baby formula?
The baby because it would mean you'd buy more baby formula, right? If you didn't get the time off, the mom wouldn't be there feeding the kid. So it's just like a small example.
As I recall, the little bottles of baby formula when I was a kid, weren't they Johnson & Johnson? Like the biggest manufacturer?
Or what about, and the baby food?
Wasn't it? Those little Keebler and Johnson, big companies, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe Mike's onto something. Big baby formula.
There you go, bro.
You better say something to your to Congressman
Or be
Ruiz.
careful.
I mean, we've had decades of lobbying, carefully placed science that shaped the way we think about something as simple as breakfast. Eggs went from hero to villain and back again. It took years for truth to claw its way back. And now we kind of know, people are starting to wake up to say, wait a minute, eggs are actually good for us. But here's the thing. If the food we eat can be steered by powerful interests, what about the money we use? Not just prices or inflation.
Did you just go from food
Yeah.
to money?
The money is like everything. Matt want to talk about economics. So like, well, let's just start with our money.
Well, look, first off, think back to steering what you eat. You could eat what you want to eat. Now, if you watch, the mainstream and listen to what they say to you, and you make decisions based upon that, fine. Otherwise, why are they steering you? People have freedom of choice, right? If you want to eat eggs, eat eggs. I've never thought eggs were bad for me. I don't care. I eat them. I've always, for a long time. Never worried about that. So, and you read, there's huge, real positive attributes to eggs, for example. So again, I think the population as a whole is pretty gullible, and whatever. They're the ones that go and eat cereal every day and think that being on a vegan diet's the way to go. And you ever seen a vegan before? See how they look?
Yeah.
It's like shit, dude. I'm just kind of always been not a contrarian to be a contrarian, but just make your own decisions, right?
But how do you make a decision when your own doctor, the government, the safety guidelines of the FDA, everybody's telling you got to limit the intake of eggs when eggs can create a single cell into a living creature.
Yeah.
It's everything you need. It's super good for you.
Right.
It doesn't cause heart attacks. Sugar does. And the shit that gives you sugar,
Sugar's enemy number one.
sugar is the fucking breads and the pastas and orange juice in the morning. Juice up the kids on orange juice first thing in the morning.
Orange juice is the worst thing you can put in your body. Look at
Just a
forget
little
forget
squeezed orange juice I might have. Sometimes we have so much citrus in my house. We get fresh eggs right out of the chicken's ass.
Oh, that's cool.
Because we got chickens.
Forget the idea of diabetes, right? It just contributes to diabetes, but it also, I think, sugar allows cancer cells to grow and allows lots of other bad stuff to happen in your body. It feeds on it, right? That's what I've read. Now, I'm not a scientist, a doctor. I have no idea, but that's it wouldn't surprise me.
With the increase of cancer rates, how it just has shot up through the moon in the last 100 years, and everybody with diabetes.
Oh, don't get on the can. How much money has the American Cancer Society gotten since 1950? And it's up. Breast cancer's up 3 times since the 1970s, right after the introduction of the pill, messing with hormones and stuff like that. The cancer rate is absurd, and it's got to be connected. I think there's a lot of environmental and all that, but it's got to be connected to the ridiculous amount of refined sugar and simple, crappy processed carbohydrates like Wonder Bread. How much?
I thought Wonder Bread was like, man, mom's doing good. She bought Wonder Bread this week. It's nice.
Jelly?
Yeah.
My mom used to put Miracle Whip on Wonder Bread, dude.
Totally. Vegetable oil. And
So,
like, what are you
Miracle
eating?
Whip, Wonder
Yeah.
Bread,
Or
and
margarine.
processed-
Margarine
and,
was
and,
healthy
and
for us.
Oscar Mayer
Yeah.
sliced ham. That was what we got.
And don't eat butter. Eat margarine. Margarine's healthy for you. That was a whole push.
We used to eat
That's
country
vegetable oil.
crock. Country crock.
Yeah, that's what we had as
A lot
a
of
kid.
crock.
Dude, that's great. That's so funny. You're right.
Are you imagine that? We didn't get butter. Well, butter was expensive. I used to go in the kitchen and take spoonfuls of country crock.
We did our last episode, or actually 2 episodes ago, our topic was the Federal Reserve. I don't know if you guys saw the episode, but ever since then, I kept digging into just banking in our country, and usury with interest. And I have a lot of property, and I've got, $60 million in loans, right, on my various properties. So I pay a lot of interest. And then I started learning of like, well, how do banks lend out money? What's their reserve requirements? Where's the money come from? Do they like borrow it from the federal? Like I really dug in, and I was shocked on what's going on and how no one really knows what's going
So
on.
it's all fugazi.
So a bank, first of all, you don't deposit your money into a bank. Maybe you guys know this, maybe you don't. You lend the bank your money.
Right.
So A, why are they calling it a deposit? So right away, I don't trust the entire institution from the get-go because you just didn't take a deposit. I lent you the money.
Well, I mean, you're depositing with them, so they're going to lend out at a rate.
No. That's what I thought. But you're lending them the money, and it goes on their balance sheet. And then I thought they just like lent out our money that we gave them to hold. But then I learned about fractional reserve banking, and they can lend more than they have.
They lend on multiples. And I think
Yeah.
your deposit agreements provide you're not lending them the money, it's their money. When you put it in their bank, it's deemed their money.
It's their money. So, and it gets a lot worse. So that's just like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So they can lend more than they have. Where are they getting the money?
By
Right.
multiples.
Yeah.
So the way it works is they create money out of thin air. So if I owned a bank,
Well,
and
hold on. Let me know. You're not talking about regional banks. You're talking
all
about
banks,
Okay.
every single bank, the Federal Reserve prints money, and they can lend money to the government, and they can lend money to other banks. So when they say they're printing more money, and they can do that. But if I own my own bank, even a regional bank or a local bank, there used to be a reserve requirement. So I would have to keep between 6% and 12% on reserves. So if I lent out $1 million, I had to keep 50, 100,000 in reserves. During COVID, when they locked us down, the banks petitioned our government to get rid of all reserve requirements. So now, like, okay, so they don't have to hold any money. So what are they, just borrowing all this money from the Federal Reserve? Where's this money come from? So they do double accounting principles. So basically what I do is when you come to me and say, Mike, lend me $100,000 or lend me $1 million for my home that I'm buying. I say, okay, I don't lend you any money. I buy a financial instrument from you, which is the mortgage for $1 million. And I take this instrument that's now worth $1 million and I put it on my books. And it goes in one column. It says now Mike Meade has another $1 million there. And I don't give you $1 million cash. I simply credit your account $1 million and it balances. The money came from thin air. I didn't take it out of my pocket. I didn't borrow it from the Federal Reserve. I fucking took it out of thin air and I lent it to you.
You've heard the term mouse click money, right?
Huh?
Mouse
Yeah.
click money.
It's the same thing, but at a large scale, you wonder why the dollar is getting devalued over and over and over. And guys, we're trying to save for our retirement. We're trying to pay off our houses. Usury used to be illegal. It was completely illegal.
Illegal in the United States?
No, it was illegal in Europe. And when banks started getting established, the first people to start charging interest were the blacksmiths, because they would hold people's gold. You would go down there, they'd strike it, and they'd hold it, and it's better just to.
So you're talking about like the German blacksmith guilds?
Yeah, but way back in the day, it was illegal to charge interest, and then interest came around, and it sounds reasonable, right? Like if I'm going to lend you some money, I should get some sort of return on my money.
Otherwise, you don't lend the money, and
otherwise I won't lend the money.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. When we're talking about banks, not individuals lending the money, it's not even their money. This money is made out of thin air and created through basically a Ponzi scheme. If I did this at my business or in an investment, I'd be in fucking federal prison.
Really,
immediately.
It went Ponzi. You mentioned it before with fractional reserve. It's just absolutely not.
There's no fractional reserve even requirement. So forget fractional reserve. They're using double accounting to basically create money out of thin air. And every time they make a loan, that loan adds to the money supply and devalues all of our money year after year after year. That's why there's always inflation. There's never like, wow, it's negative inflation. It's always inflation.
And Jamie Dimon and the B of A, see all these CEOs of the big banks are in front of Congress all the time whining that they want to have reduced capital reserve requirements, right? That they can't be competitive if they have any kind of reasonable capital reserve requirements, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
What are they charging you for money and for, account fees and credit card?
On a personal everyday person, 25% interest rates, and they all incorporate in South Dakota because there's no usury laws up there. 25% on the dollar, so I got into the habit of just paying off. If I do use credit cards, but they get paid off at the end of the month. And business is a little different. I'll carry, some won't, but I refuse because I figure every dollar I give to these guys, they're spending that money to send their kid to Harvard or a Paris vacation or something on my back, and that's how it affects everybody at the very. It's not.
But I'm talking about interest in general. So what I did was I took a deep dive into what the world would look like if the people that created the monetary system, so the money that we use in the United States, it's our money, right? It should be. It's not ours. It's controlled. I don't care what they say about the Federal Reserve. It's controlled by private banks completely.
Okay,
so now
let's distinguish between fiat and money. In my mind, fiat is printed paper that's worthless. Money is gold. Money is gold and silver. Well, we're only one real form of money, and it's soon to be Bitcoin too, by the way, digital gold. But I won't go.
So I'm going to go into that because it's important.
But currency is fiat. Dollars are fiat.
So it's very important. So as I dug into it and I started taking a little idea from here and an idea from there, and I said, well, what if? Because we continue on this trajectory right now, I think we're at $37 trillion.
Yeah, I saw 37 trillion.
37 trillion. That is 120% of our GDP. Guys, we're done. So, and BlackRock and all these big bankers, they know the dollar's over and our time's taken. So that's why they're like, we got to get in some other sort of currency.
Sure.
So what these bankers do, they go around the world and they promise an entity. They say, hey, United States, you guys can be the world currency. Like Europe used to be, or England, and you can print as much money. You're gonna have money for as much money as you want for your military. You're gonna prosper. Your people are prosper. But with the system on interest and the way they just create money out of thin air, over time it wipes out the currency. So it either wipes out the country or it wipes out the currency.
The only thing that's keeping us going is the fact that we say we're the world's reserve currency. We're the dominant reserve currency. I mean, other countries trade in other forms, but it's like 70% of all trade nationally, they convert to dollars first. And every time they do that, we make some money.
It's because the World Bank and the Federal Reserve and all these guys are in cahoots to say, okay, we're going to continue to prop up the dollar. Maybe it's based on their investments or whatnot. But as soon as they decide, hey, they fucking printed 40% of their currency in a span of 3 years. When that happened, I knew the dollar was done. It's like someone made a decision to say, guys, you don't print that much money in 3 years.
Is it done, or is it just
It's done.
not as valuable
Well,
as it used
It's
to
done.
be?
When Nixon took us off the gold standard in 72 or 73, it was the beginning of the end, right? Because the dollar was pegged to gold. And after that time, and they were able just to create dollars out of thin air, back to mouse click money, the dollar, I believe, since 1973, I could be a little bit off, has lost 99 point something percent of its value. Okay. And so, yeah, it's done unless you find a way to disinflate that away.
So how do we save America?
Well, you're
Like,
tying this back to the interest issue.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
we're
gonna
good.
try. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tie it back to
I mean, if
interest.
you're a private lender, you got to get, otherwise there's no sense taking the risk.
I know what
right?
So here's my idea, and I'd love to have you guys.
We want to hear your idea.
But here's my idea.
What's your idea?
What's your idea, Mike?
You are in the middle.
I am in the middle. So what if? And I'm not saying this could ever happen because it never would. But let's say we had the control, the three of us, to change the world. And tomorrow we woke up and the world was different.
All right, hold on. So we're like the
You're gonna manifest your own reality and just switch to another dimension in the morning. So let's say,
all right, we're the triumvirate.
yeah,
Right,
interest is gone. It's illegal to charge interest. The money supply instantly goes to the U.S. dollar and the Federal Reserve. That all gets shut down, and we create a new currency that the people own. It's our money. We decide how much, and we have a limited amount. There's no reason with an expanding world and expanding population and expanding economies that the currency should go down. That's like backwards. So let's say we tie it back to Bitcoin or one of these currencies where there's paper and there's also some sort of mechanism to limit. And there's only so much. Now, instead of that dollar that you have in your bank account going down 3 to 8% every year, it would go up as long as you have a strong economy. That's first of all. But then you're like, well, why would anyone lend? Well, why are we charging interest? If it's our money that we created in our system that we pay taxes into, and it's our currency, why the fuck are we paying interest? If I have $1 million loan on my house, my mortgage is around $7,000 a month. My payment would be $2,800 if there was no interest.
Because you can't get the loan. No one's going to give you the money if you.
I'm against big government, and especially if they controlled like who gets loans and who doesn't. But if the system was the same where we had private companies that issued our money back to us with no interest, they charged like a flat fee, nothing high, and there was some sort of check and balances. Instantly, I can get a loan at the same standard. I can't borrow if I don't have good credit and I don't have my down payment.
That won't
just
work.
the same standards, but there's no interest.
That won't work.
It will work.
All right, so I've got $1 million to loan out, and I've got people who are coming and say, we're more than happy to give you interest if you give us the. I'm more than happy to borrow a credit card. Use your credit card. You're borrowing money. I'm more than happy to borrow that money in the short term to pay for something. But hold on. But if I've got $1 million to loan and I can't charge interest, why would I give it to you for some flat, crappy 2% fee when I can use that money to be more productive? Maybe I'll go buy a farm.
Increasing zero.
There would be zero interest. So if there's zero interest, what happens in our economy?
Risk.
Everything falls to crap.
Well, no private lenders will
won't be
take
any
any.
velocity.
No private lenders going to take
There's
a
no more
risk.
private lenders. All the lending would come from us, the people, in our currency that's limited. And private companies can be set up to qualify you. So the same system that applies today for a loan would apply there. Now, let's say I say, well, Mike, I did a development where I had to buy some land and I couldn't go to a bank, right? I went to a private lender and I borrowed high interest. I did it. In those scenarios, you'd have to give him partnership in the property or something, or you don't do the deal. Or how about people buy the car that they could afford, or they don't like we live in a credit society where the average American is bankrupt. They just don't know.
Hold on.
They live month to month.
Nobody is forcing somebody to go out and buy a $100,000 pickup. And how am I supposed to conduct business and lend out my money at rate if I can't charge interest? And you're talking about small government. Well, now you're talking about laws where you private individuals can't contract. If I go to him and I say, hey, I need $1 million, and he says, all right, 25%, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. That's not me. If I can't pay it back, you can come break my legs or whatever reason to do. But
then there'd be a difference between a private lender and the banking system that we have today that creates money out of thin air. So if there was an agreement to say, okay, you can charge interest, But there is this mechanism where it's our money coming from our money supply. And you want to go to college, or you want to buy your home, or you even want to buy an investment property, I'm qualified, I can go borrow it from our government through these private like banks or whatever, whoever's set up to show that I'm qualified. And I can borrow at 0% interest. If I can't, I have to go over here. He's not pulling money out of his thin air like our banks do through double accounting. He's pulling it out of his damn pocket to lend to me. Maybe then he can charge interest.
Hold on.
That would be fun.
What do we do? What do we do to get? So we're all three of us are in charge.
There's one more step too, by the way.
Well, I'm confused because you said all three of us are in charge. and
We
have
are,
to
yeah.
sit down and hammer out a plan.
So this is our plan.
So what is the plan?
I think there's one more step. So right now, look at the amount of debt that's held. The majority of that debt is held by the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be this nonprofit entity that's never been audited. And they hold all this debt. When the 2007 crash happened and they bailed out the banks and everyone fucking lost their homes and fucking properties, and I had clients go bankrupt. People killed themselves. Kids were getting thrown out of their fucking houses. They bailed out the banks. They took all the bad debt and they put it over here to the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
So the Federal Reserve holds a shitload of
They've
debt.
never recovered from that. You realize that? Do you realize that was 2008? I had property up in the high desert. I lost all. I was only. I had my renters paying the entire note every month, except I was $500 out of pocket. I said, no problem. Over a couple of years, I lost all my renters in 3 months, and I eventually had a. Thank God the owner of that property carried for me. I actually gave it back to her.
Yeah. But you lost your down payment. You lost
Dude,
the
that
$500
property right now is worth $1.5 million. I paid like $425 for it.
And after the recession, your properties were $250, right?
And it was income producing property. I was actually going to open up a second office up there. But the point is, I bring it up is that it seems like so long ago, but yet we're still being affected by that.
Let's get back to your point. Federal Reserve. You said the Federal Reserve holds the debt. You understand the Federal Reserve is a private bank.
It is a private bank.
Okay, they don't own the debt. The U.S. government owes the debt.
We owe the debt
Okay,
to a private bank.
right. So you're saying it's on the Federal Reserve's books.
It's on the Federal Reserve Bank.
It's not their debt. It's taxpayer debt.
It's taxpayer debt.
If you break it down per taxpayer, $37 trillion, it's a huge number. It's like double six figures or something, as I understand. So the Federal Reserve is not federal.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole other show about like how that's a complete scam.
Did they come up with the name Federal Reserve back on Jekyll Island, or did they?
They did. They created this whole system where the average man would be like, "Oh, that's good."
On
And
the
like
other
literally,
hand, on the other hand, let me say this: it's not the first central bank that was ever created in a great nation. I mean, Napoleon created the Bank of the Republic or whatever it was.
did the bankers own it or did the government own
I
it?
don't know.
The people own it. So, and I'm against big government, but I'm for federalizing our money supply in the same sort of audit system that's supposed to be existing, where you appoint people for 20 years or whatever and there's like checks and
The
balances.
Constitution requires.
But right now, like, and I explained this in my last show, it's because my two co-hosts, which are liberal, think the Federal Reserve's great, which is amazing, right? They love the Federal Reserve, and it's privately owned, which is hysterical, right, to me. And because they've been brainwashed into thinking that like the Federal Reserve's good, right? They control and they have their meeting and they control the interest, but like it's as if I said, guys, I'm gonna handle all the zoning for the whole country. I'm a developer, and me and my developer friends are gonna control all the zoning. And don't worry, we're gonna call it the Federal Zoning Commission, and we're gonna all meet. And there's a subcommittee that actually controls the zoning, but you guys can control like a small element of it through this Federal Reserve Board, and you guys can put some people on there, and of course, they're probably going to come from my industry. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have a lot of power on how that zoning happens. Do you know how much fucking money I would make as a developer? You know how much money I could make? I could take a piece of land that's worth $2 a square foot, and I change the zoning, and it's worth $100. Okay? I'm talking about fucking land zoning. We're talking about the money supply, dude. That's power. That's our ability to go to war. That's our ability to lend.
Did you ever wonder why the United States committed itself to World War I? you ever stop to think about that? Why did we go to war in World War One? I mean, we had some really good reasons to go to World War II. Maybe even Vietnam. Why World War One? You guys ever think about that?
Well, because the war machine is a profitable enterprise.
Well, that's part of it, but J.P. Morgan had loaned so much freaking money to the British and the French. J.P. Morgan, do you know how wealthy this man was? Him and his house, we think of the big banking houses. He had loaned so much money to the French and British, and they were losing. And then Russia quit the war.
And what happened
His
right?
man was
What
the
happened
Secretary
right
of-
before World War One?
Yeah,
A year before.
Yeah, and
the Federal Reserve was
Hoover,
established.
who ran on an anti-war platform. Was it Hoover? Yeah. All of a sudden changed. Well, we have to commit 1 million. We lost that. How many men did we lose in World War One? 100,000 for what? To protect them. Germany was not much different than us. They were not.
Nicole, how many soldiers in the U.S. lost their lives?
I'm going to say 110.
More than that.
110,000?
Has to be more than that, man.
No, I'm going to say roughly 110.
In World War
I don't know
One?
why it's sticking in my mind. But the
That's it?
Germans
It's a
were
little
not
scuffle.
the Germans of World War II at this point. They were an advanced. I mean, they had the Kaiser, but there was no reason to pick the side of the French and the British over the Germans. It was because somebody was about to lose a lot of money.
Absolutely. Every war, I think, and this is a totally different topic, but I believe every major war that America's been involved in since World War One was money driven. And that decision was made for us and spoon-fed to us. Spoon-fed to us as something that's worthy of our blood and our coin.
Well, maybe.
Oh my God, you were right. 116,000. Do you know you can't play Trivial Pursuit with Jim? He'll fucking smoke you.
Pretty good.
He's really good. Yeah.
Not bad.
116,000 guys lost their lives because we had to save the bankers some money.
100%. And
I mean, imagine. And how many were wounded?
guys, we got to vote on this plan. So far, I think we're in agreement that no interest. All the money supply would be tied to a limited supply.
I haven't
So we would
agreed to
have
that.
No, we're agreeing. And then
You're
if you
federalizing stuff.
dude, you have to. You want the money supply in the hand of bankers? Like, what's going on? So,
But you're going to take the power away from all private individuals to.
no. Private individuals can still lend. They can lend their own money.
Oh,
with
I didn't know
interest.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not taking away
You-
capitalism.
No. You can still do that. But no, there's one more point that I think you're gonna like. A lot of the debt that's held, and there will be investors that get hurt. If we're gonna do this global reset, we got to wipe out all of our debt. So all debt, your mortgages are gone, your student loan is gone, your car loan is gone. Do you know what that would do to our economy? If all the debt disappeared and then I can borrow at 0% interest from the bank, we would have a boom like you never, ever
You don't
imagined
need to do any of that.
in this country.
I got a plan. You want to fix the situation? Completely rein in Congress. Congress is.
You're never going to rein in Congress,
you
man.
can't. You don't
See, here's
spend.
the
That's
deal.
wishful
You're
thinking.
going
not
to
allowed to
get
spend
No, we're doing an
$1 over
imaginary
receipts.
reset.
right.
The three
but-
of us
Okay,
as
here's
gods.
the honest position here. If you are if you have big debt, you're going to sign on to that plan all day long.
Everyone would sign on.
No, if you're a low debt guy like me and you don't believe in carrying debt, like you're saying, you use it, you pay it off. You leverage.
I
I'm
leverage.
scared shitless of leverage. I'm a low risk, low leverage guy, but you can sleep well at night leveraging and you
Yeah,
use it. And
okay.
guys, look at, and there's no doubt, guys that do big stuff, they leverage, they borrow.
I'm okay with
So,
debt.
but the guys with big debt are going to love that because you're wiping away everyone's sins.
And no, here's the thing. I'm not saying that in the future there shouldn't be debt and you actually borrow money and you have to pay it back. There's just no interest. And what I'm saying is right now, if we're going to save this country, that debt cannot be there. And I'm not fucking wiping out all the debt for the bankers and the government and not for the individuals. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So if we're going to wipe out all the debt, everybody's debt is getting
All
a
right, hold
clean
on.
slate.
Let's go back. So you're saying us three are in charge of the country.
We're in charge of the world.
All
We're
right, we're in
literally
charge of
changing.
the
No one's
world.
going to kill us
And
from Europe.
you want to hear my plan then?
No one's going to assassinate you because it's us right here. We
All right.
control.
So here's what I would do.
Yeah.
First off, I'd have you arrested. And then I would sit down with him and say, all right, let's talk about how we're going to work this out. And look at and let's be reasonable because look what happened to Baldy over here.
What is wrong? No, give it a solid reason why. If we were to
It's
say,
hard
if
with the
all
bad
if everybody in America stood up and said, this is what we want,
All right.
and we're going to demand this, we're not just wiping out all the debt for the government and stuff because you guys overborrowed and we're going to wipe this thing out. We're going to start a new system and see how it goes.
How do you wipe it out though? Like they're saying now, like the new thing, as I've heard, is okay that this administration is going to revalue gold to $50,000 an ounce.
What?
Right? Right. That's not there. Right. Revalue the gold in Fort Knox to 50. It's right now. It's like 21,000 an ounce.
So I was thinking about
revalue
that.
gold
What
to
do they do
50,000.
if we go back to the gold standard? They got so it was 35. It was $35 an ounce up until.
Oh
70.
no, it's 35. That's still set 35. It's still set $35 in Fort Knox. $35 an ounce.
No, but what I'm saying is, wasn't it the government policy? It was $35 an ounce.
Yeah.
But if they reset it, we get off the petro and we go gold or silver or a combination. What are they? What are they going to set the price of?
I'm saying if they revalue, they're saying revalued to 50,000 an ounce, it would just take out.
Brother, right now it's trading at 34
almost $3,400 an ounce.
So overnight, you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to let you know.
Wait, you have a lot of gold?
I am a big believer in gold and silver outside the system in physical form.
Do you ever buy? You don't buy like ETFs? Or
No.
Okay, so
Gold.
there's something-
Have you guys have you held 20 ounces of gold in your hand, real gold? You haven't?
No.
Yeah.
Is it nice?
It'll change your life. And when you have some real silver coins in your hand, you do this with silver coins. It's truly God's money.
I've got my
Truly
gold.
No, but I get it. I mean, it's the gold bugs, but it's a different mentality.
There's a reason. There's a reason why going way back, everybody was like any civilization, the Incas, right? The Japanese gold.
Okay, there's a limited supply of gold in the world, right? So we can look and assess how much gold we really have in Fort Knox. I think a lot of it got leaked to Europe. But
we have hypothecated. That's why they're not.
We
audited.
just they won't audit it.
That's why they're not.
That went away
hypothecated.
quick.
Don't
Dude.
get me started on that.
Yeah.
That's why they're not. That's why they're not truly auditing Fort Knox. That stuff is hypothecated, I think, many times over. Right? It's lent out. This, that. We probably don't have what.
We don't have 20% of what they say we have. But let's say we did.
I don't know.
Let's say we did. They're saying
and we're doing this plan. We can tie it to the gold, which a limited resource based on how much currency we want in the marketplace tied to this entity, it will rise on its own. It becomes that value, right? So we can tie it to gold if you want to tie it to gold. And there's no printing or beyond a certain amount. Now the money that I put in my bank account, if the economy grows by 3-4% a year, my money's going up in value. Like there's more buying power.
Now you're suggesting going back to a gold standard.
All right, hold on. You're tying money to gold.
That's a gold standard.
A gold standard.
That's what you said.
If there's a convertibility, gold to gold standard.
It's either that or we have to tie it to a limited source, which is like a Bitcoin or something where there's a limited supply.
The thing is, you got to get back to what he just said. What is the price of the gold? Because right now,
It has to
It
be.
would have to be
It has to be a mathematical problem
It has
to
to
how
be a
much
big number.
capital
I
we
heard
want.
50,000. I
gosh.
read
Oh, that would be
50,000.
so great. What would that do? What would that do? Because I'm telling you right now, 40. So every month I got back on the, investing every month. Right now, for at least for the foreseeable future, 40% of every dollar I invest is going into precious metals right now. And you want to know why? Not for me. I don't care so much. I've got my other investments. For my kids in 20 years, I could say, here you go, kids. Because I don't know where this is going.
Is it going into ETF metals or
No.
physical metals?
You have a lot of physical metal at your house. Where do you live? What's your address?
No, I don't keep it in my house.
Oh, okay.
Of course not.
I was going to tell the audience
No.
he lives in India.
Yeah, but you have to understand the currency keeps being devalued.
That's why I have no money.
One of my best friends owns a little restaurant. I used to be able to go in there and buy breakfast for like $8-9. Great food. It's $20.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why is that?
Right.
Well, other than
They're just
inflating, other than just making the cost of business, it used to be $12. It was $12 an hour for employees. Now $20+ an hour. All right. So that's unnaturally inflating the cost of business. But the reason it's $20 for a plate of eggs nowadays isn't because that's what it costs. It's because the value of your money has been deflated.
Well, that's gold,
Because there's
gold
more,
hasn't gone
there's
up.
more money.
Gold hasn't gone up to 300-400. The dollar's gone down.
The dollar that bought 2 eggs, years ago buys buys half an egg now. It's the same dollar. It's you said it before. We have lost so much value to that dollar. So what does that mean? I'll tell you, one of the best books I ever read was for my kids' classical conversations. Whatever happened to penny money, or whatever happened to penny candy? And then the money myth he wrote. It's just amazing. When you understand what money is, and there's no escaping it. Money is precious gold and silver.
And I'm not
That's
going to
it.
go into religion. The Bible defines as the only real money will be in gold and silver.
Let's go into religion. Let's talk about Jesus.
Yeah, we should.
It's not, but I mean, we could.
It makes him feel very uncomfortable. Let's talk about it.
But to your point,
to church.
it's defined as gold and silver.
He's a sinner.
Oh, hold on, Matt. I love Jesus so much. I love him so much.
I was baptized and raised Catholic.
I'm going to tackle you.
Yeah.
And I've got some holy water in the back.
At 163, you ain't tackling me, bro.
I don't know.
Well, why don't we just finalize our new world that we're creating for tomorrow,
And then I can take you down.
and then we'll wrestle. But I think we're all in agreement. If we were to do a reset, I don't think just the banks should be forgiven. All debt should be wiped out for a fresh restart of our country with a new currency tied to gold. Limited supply, obviously, because now it's tied to gold. Zero interest if it comes from the money supply, which is now banks. There's no banks, right?
You can't do that.
If there are banks, the banks have to lend 100% of their own money.
They don't have any money.
Exactly. So why?
Well, they
why,
do, because it's a housing interest they've taken from the
Okay, you can't do it. So it's like, yeah, I can own a bank, but I
That's
better
what banks.
if I'm going to lend you money, then I have to lend the money that I have, and there has to be really safe reserve requirements. And I'm saying reserve requirements should probably be 60-70%.
Okay, I'm not speaking as a fan of banks, but the only money they earn is off interest of the money that you put in the accounts, right?
No,
Right.
they make money out of thin air.
There's the
It's like, I
mouse, all
literally-
that stuff. But I'm saying if they don't earn any interest on the money or fees or whatever, then there's nothing.
No. If you lend your money, if it's your money,
Right.
you can charge interest.
Right.
But we'll have this because it's our money now and it's controlled, but it's not lent out by like you got to go over to the government DMV and try to borrow money. They would employ private companies who would audit each other. So I'd apply for a home loan at zero interest. Cool, you're qualified. Let's have a double audit over here by this other company. Cool, there's your money at zero interest. If for whatever reason I want a high interest loan or I want then I could go borrow from a bank that actually lends their own money. They don't just create money out of thin air by double accounting.
I have a suggestion: eliminate Federal Reserve, eliminate all banks, and just have private people
What's private?
exchange money between themselves for a fair rate of return,
Yeah.
fair risk scenario.
I'm good. I'm good getting rid of banks.
No, but your scenario's on the other side. No, but I get it. But in a perfect world, I think you have no central banks. No, do you need it?
You need the money supply, and as soon as the money supply is there, all you need is a mechanism to make the money based on the gold, right? And once that money supply is there, maybe you have money that gets bad, paper money that needs to be changed in, and new money's made. Maybe there's safety and quality and counterfeiting, and like you will have a department of that.
Right.
But if we wiped out all the debt tomorrow, there would be a boom like you would never see in this country,
because we owe other countries. They would make war on us.
I already thought of everything. So let's say we owed money to Japan. Japan's a big lender of ours. We would switch our taxation how it should be. There shouldn't be a federal income tax. We would support the tariff is something that is good. That's there to keep jobs in America. Manufacturing left because we didn't use the power of the tariff. And we allowed the corporations to decide how we run the country and what laws we make. And they moved manufacturing to China and made China a superpower. All they had to do, if Nike came to me and said, Michael, I can't compete because Adidas is making shoes in fucking China by slave labor, I say, dude, we're not selling slave labor shoes here. We can do it because we're a capitalist country. We're going to fucking tariff the shit out of you when you bring that in here. If you want to sell,
would you say it that way? Like,
and I would say it that way. Yep. And I'd say, listen, if you want to sell to the biggest economy in the world, which is the United States, you open a factory here in the United States, and you can sell your goods here. And if you want to sell to the rest of the world, go open a factory in China too. Have 2 factories. Sell to the world over there and over here. And if you want to bring stuff in, we're going to tariff you.
You've solved the shoe problem.
This is for everything. And now we have tariffs in place, strong tariffs for the United States to protect our jobs and our economy. And the American people don't have to pay all these crazy taxes, 50, 60, 70% after everything, right? And let's say we owe a lot of money to Japan and we want to make sure they get their money back. Well, we reduce their tariffs for a while. We credit their tariff system through that over the next 10 years. And now there's pressure off of the United States for any paying the money.
How the world did it forever until NAFTA, or
I think our idea, like literally, it would be it would be great.
what was Canada charging our dairy manufacturers a tariff to get like butter and stuff? I heard it was like 285%, or was that for heavy farming equipment? And
I mean, I've been reading. Are we just like releveling the playing field? I don't know. I don't know. I don't pretend to be able to follow all that. I don't get it. Although I will say what I'm reading is so far, all the mainstream was saying, well, it's the tariffs gonna run up inflation. That's been the whole Powell thing that, oh, we can't lower rates. And I don't believe in lower rates, by the way. I know, guys that borrow money want it, but it's not good for a healthy economy. You don't need low rates if you're a healthy economy. But, you've got this situation where rates are just they need to be higher. I think
you don't want to lower the rates like Trump wants. Huh?
I mean, I'm just saying everyone said, oh, tariffs going to increase inflation. Powell used that as an excuse. I'm just saying it's so far. What I saw today an article, so far CPI came out today, and the CPI, the non-core, was down. Core CPI, you strip out food, energy, it was up. That's not good. Markets loved it. They ran with it. Then they're thinking they're going to cut rates September. I don't think it's going to happen. That's my personal opinion. I think Powell's going to. But aside from that, the point is that the tariffs so far are not being passed through to the U.S. consumers and causing inflation.
Well, how much are we really actually?
If tariffs are bad and they destroyed economies, then why does the rest of the world tariff the fuck
I
out of the United States?
I don't.
So what they're
I don't
telling
pretend
you
to
is they're
understand the
feeding you
analysis.
a fucking spoon of bullshit.
Right.
And everybody's eating it, saying, oh, the tariffs are bad, Trump's crazy. And in reality, all we're doing is what everyone does to us. And in turn, jobs are starting to slowly come back. People are making commitments to build factories here. And if you really ratcheted that up, you would see the difference. And the other thing that I read, and I forgot the author, is a famous economist who lived in Japan and wrote the book in Japanese. I think he's an American or English. And he was wondering, like, why is land?
You wrote about the Japanese.
Why is the land value in Tokyo so crazy, right? In the 80s, and you had land in Tokyo, property that was worth more. Like one property was worth more than all the property in California. And so what they did was they leveraged this really high value of assets to borrow money that they were printing out of thin air, and they went and bought up the fucking world.
But look what happened in Japan. Following the. Is that our example?
Because it's not real, right? So what he did was, but he looked at why
indebted nation in the entire world.
But he's looking at
the United States.
He was looking at banking, like why
a
is
lost
this
decade became a lost.
So he actually went into the banks and he was friends with all these bankers and he spoke the language and he got in there, and he's the one that really discovered, which is not taught to us, that banks create money out of thin air.
Was this the guy who was on Tucker Carlson recently?
Oh yeah, he was on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, he's a German guy.
German,
Austrian,
and so his book was translated into English. You can't fucking buy it.
Oh, that's so funny. I want to get that book.
So am I. I can't find it. But apparently, he's all over this. He's trying to expose the banking system that we have is causing peaks and crashes over and over again. And it dilutes the economy. Like, look at what happened in Japan.
That's what the Federal Reserve is there for. It's there to manage inflation and deflation.
But prices have nothing to do with the interest that's being charged. That's another lie that you're being told. Okay, the reason prices have gone up is because the money supply has gone up.
Well, yeah,
that's it. Like that's at the end of the day. If the interest goes to 20%, it's going to be harder to borrow homes. Home prices will come down. It will have some effect, but not to the degree that you printed 40% more supply of money in a 3-year period.
Right.
Inflation hasn't even affected. It'll take years for it to trickle down and really translate in the true cost of things. And that's why fucking people move their cash, their stock, a lot of stuff into real estate and into gold and into Bitcoin and things. The hard assets were like, dude, like this building is here, right? You want to rent from me? Like that dollar's not worth $1 anymore. You got to pay me $2. So I think our plan has some wheels, guys. I think we should.
I don't even know what the plan is.
Well,
I really-
everybody manifest on it tonight. Tomorrow we'll wake up.
What is the plan? Do you know what the plan is?
There's two things, in my opinion, that we will let it go into right now. It's a whole nother show,
Yeah.
but that I think changes the whole, let's say, playing field dynamic. Two things that no one knows how it's going to truly impact everything. But number one, it's AI.
Mm.
Now it's affecting the economy. And number two, the tokenization of every real world asset into Bitcoin, Ethereum. I mean, this is happening, guys. I mean, I did a show the other day, a live show Saturday. I said, look, it's not, the gold's never going to become, it's always going to be a store of value, but there's no doubt that you're going to have digital currency.
They're moving to digital
It's
currency.
moving.
It's 100% doing. I just don't know.
I get it. You're not going to have maybe
you're
you're not going to have central bank digital currency, but you have all
they
these
want central bank
Well,
digital
hold
currency.
on,
They
hold on.
want that.
Who is buying? So let's say you got a ton of Bitcoin. What are you doing with Bitcoin?
It's literally like you're betting. It's a bet. It's
a
like
bet,
a stock.
right,
Like
but
you're
you're
betting
not-
that it's going to go up.
You're
over
not
time.
going to hoard Bitcoin. So one day you've got the proper currency to go buy your car and buy a pizza with it. No
Well,
one's
people
doing that.
are starting to use it a little bit, but it's not a currency. And that's why I'm saying if we took our currency and said, fuck the Federal Reserve, and we had it backed by something that's limited, and it could be a Bitcoin type thing where it's like limited. There's only this many.
But what are you backing it by?
And we were using it as currency. Do you know how you could literally just put your money in the bank account, forget the bank paying interest. The money would just appreciate.
Look, if you would have asked me a year and a half ago about store of wealth and value, and if you don't hold it, you don't own it. If you asked me about Bitcoin, let's say, for example, I would have said you're crazy. But I've been the last year researching it a lot more, and I'm telling you, you've got it. You have this digital, the Bitcoin being the whole digital gold, type thing, and I'm telling you,
You've been listening to Michael Saylor.
No. No, but Michael Saylor, I get his theory. I get the thesis about this, but you've got 21 million of the things, and I know it's only the best. But
Well, where are they?
It's digital.
Where?
It's not like a gold coin.
I understand.
It's blockchain.
Here's
where it's blockchain. You've got it. I don't profess to be expert. You have to understand. You have to understand the blockchain. And
it's a code. It's
a code.
It's a code. And here's what you need to understand. It's not physical. You can't hold it.
Now, by the way, I own Bitcoin, but let me tell you something. Ready? What do we value Bitcoin in?
It's what people place their value on it.
What do we right? But what do we value it in?
The limited supply
And what do we value it in?
in dollars.
Bitcoin's more limited to gold.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we took dollars and we convert,
it's on a computer now.
You don't change
It's all,
it.
it's all
there's
like
a protocol.
what's his name? Is it Satoshi or Sagatoshi?
Satoshi.
Satoshi. I knew a kid named Kenny Satoshi. I swear. But anyway, think about it. Think about this. We value Bitcoin in dollars, and everyone's, Bitcoin's up to almost 120K, because you're hoping to do what? You're hoping it goes up to 250,000. You sell your Bitcoin and you get a 250,000 greenbacks, and you go do something with it. Because ultimately, what is Bitcoin? And you said something.
No, Saylor says you never sell your Bitcoin. Why would you? It's the perfect money. Would you sell your gold to go into fiat? No.
would you
So it's the
rather
same thing.
would you rather have gold or Bitcoin?
Both. I did a show the other day. Gold, Bitcoin, or both. Both. Absolutely. Gold's never going to lose its place as money for 5,000 years. Bitcoin's going to take over the money.
You can hand over.
And not as day-to-day transactional. That'll be all the other altcoins and maybe other stuff. Right?
I have two thoughts on it, and I agree.
Bitcoin's going to take over.
I think there's so much momentum now behind it, with all the banks now getting behind it, and the investment funds, BlackRock, everybody's getting behind it. So there's
hundreds
something there.
of billions of dollars.
There's something
you
there.
don't have 180 now Bitcoin reserve companies around the world putting in trillions of dollars into this, hundreds of billions of dollars. They're converting their whole purpose of their business purpose to put everything into Bitcoin. Why? Something you have to question it. Is it just a Ponzi where they're just hoping the next greatest?
They're riding up like they do on everything. So we'll be the last to know to sell it. That's the problem, and you can't physically hold it.
No,
so
I think it's greater than that. I don't think it's the bag holder theory. I think it's there's something greater than that.
I'm going to tell you, don't think because BlackRock is exploring it.
Not exploring it.
No, they're heavily invested in it.
Billions.
Just because everybody's jumping into it. Like, I'm still trying. You mentioned something like you said, and I don't know if you understand, but look, I consider myself to be an intelligent guy. I spent a couple hours just trying to figure out what blockchain is. I can't. And that tells me right there, I don't understand it. I don't understand it for a reason. But I do understand certain things, man, from the streets, right? I could smell the bullshit when it's wafting in the air. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody's getting.
I don't own
if
any
you
Bitcoin.
if you bought a Bitcoin at $2,000, you could have sold it for 120 grand, and you got your American fiat cash, and there you go buy your Ferrari or whatever. But everybody's pricing it in dollars, and everyone's looking. Oh, it's up to.
But
X
how
and X
is that
dollars.
different from any asset?
The point I'm trying to make is, what is the Bitcoin?
It's an investment.
Where is it?
It's in space.
It's an idea on
It's on the computer cloud.
computer, right?
It just has to be the greatest performing asset in the last decade, though.
So were the tulips, man.
Okay.
Now look, again,
Okay.
I own Bitcoin,
Right. Yeah.
but I'm just saying, I think,
How many Bitcoins do you have, Jim?
don't worry about it.
He doesn't have any Bitcoins.
But
No, you don't have any Bitcoin.
I don't have any Bitcoin.
it's just, I historically, since the beginning of time, man wanted what? They wanted land. They wanted gold.
I get it, but the paradigm is shifting.
And women.
They're
God,
always going to want land.
But
The
the
land, they're not making any more of it, guys.
thing, what do you get on land? You got to pay property taxes. You got to deal with bullshit. You've got maintenance, and you get, what do you get? 10% on your money a year if you're lucky.
Well, you live on
land.
it.
Oh, you're by the house then. Your
I'm
residence.
talking about, like, I
I'm
wouldn't.
talking
want
about
to-
investment property.
Investment in properties, you're going to make a lot more than
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because you can depreciate it over 20 years. Your tenants are paying off your mortgage. It appreciates every year. You get cash flow. Like even if it's an 8 cap, you're making 15, 20% unrealized annually, and it's leveraged.
And the tax benefits, to
Dude,
it is amazing.
it's just like you can off a $1 million building, you can make 200,000. You might only pocket 70, 80, but you're really making about 200,000 with the hedge of inflation, the pay down of the mortgage, and the tax benefits. If I have 100 million, I'm making 20 million a year. Every year I make 20 million. I may only pocket 8 or 7, but I'm making 20 million a year that I can bank.
I'm not anti-property. I'm saying I wish we'd come back here in 5 years and have this discussion.
I want to throw something out at you. What about this Ethereum? You know, I actually bought I'm going to kill myself. I actually bought a ton of Ethereum when it was like 700,
Right.
bucks.
You know what's that today?
and then I sold it
You know what's that today?
3,400.
4,500.
Okay, what differentiates Bitcoin from Ethereum?
It's different. Ethereum, as I understand it, has the rails where a lot of these Web 2, a lot of this stuff's running. They're using Ethereum as like their platform.
Yeah.
Yes. The 3 biggest coins is Bitcoin, then Ethereum, XRP. XRP is the rails for what they're trying to do is give Swift a run for their money, where they can provide faster. XRP, you can do transfer money around the world.
What's XRP at now?
Right now it's like 328, 330. So they all have their own purposes, right? Bitcoin's never going to be a daily, I want to go buy my lunch with it. But there will be some. But Bitcoin will be like the store of value, be like the gold equivalent. Ethereum, maybe a lot of these places, things are going to run on
Yeah.
Ethereum.
So
you know?
and then one day I could say, hey, I'll give you my Bitcoin for $500,000.
Let's say all your money was in Bitcoin today, and 5 years from now, which is very feasible, AI and quantum computing take the fuck off. The average person will have the ability to create viruses that can break into any fucking wall.
I've read
and
that.
wipe you the fuck
They're
out.
saying that.
And now I own my buildings, right? I got my gold, and you're like, fuck.
But that's why you asked
I'm
the
broke.
question. That's why you asked
And
the
who are you
question.
going to run to?
That's why you asked the question.
Who do you run to
That's
get
why
your
you
money
asked the
back?
question. I said both. You never go all
All
in.
in.
Okay. But, if your 0.01 of a Bitcoin, whatever, is worth $1 million in 5 years, would you go convert it to fiat, maybe to buy land, maybe to buy more gold? So then you go into other hard assets.
You don't go all in, Jim. Like when you go to a gay club, I tell you, don't go all in.
He likes those. I wrestle with them. I'm definitely not, but you can't just sit there and watch the train pass you by.
Well, I invested in this company called Rove, which was a startup, virtual coin, right? And like all these pretty smart people told me to invest, and I don't know, I put 150 grand or something into it. And they're like, you're buying at
So you
0.00000.
were the
1
liquidity to
cent.
sell.
So they were like, oh, if it gets to 1 penny,
Yeah.
you make $70 million or just some stupid number. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, just
And you
throw,
did.
take a
Then they
flyer on it.
dumped it.
And I don't know what happened to it.
It's gone.
It's
It's gone.
I didn't get an update. I think I got one like conversion update. No one's updated me.
How's anybody making money off of meme coins? Like, what's a meme coin?
I don't know.
And look, if I
What's the internet, Jim?
can't understand it, then I kind of stay away with it. I'll play with it.
Guys, we all need to stand up and say, let's wipe out our debt. Let's get rid of the Federal Reserve.
So we can wipe out personal debt, but you understand how much money do we owe the Dutch right now? You know, we always think about the Chinese, but the Dutch, the Japanese.
It's like 50-60% is owed to the Federal Reserve, which is a bank that's privately owned. A lot of the other debt, 30%, is owned to other banks that truly like leverage it and pull it out of thin air through the Federal Reserve and the low system. So we're basically wiping out all the banks.
Why do you think that foreign countries are dumping U.S. bonds at a record rate?
Are they really?
Why? Yeah.
I haven't followed that.
Yeah. China's dumping U.S. bonds. You've heard about the BRICS?
Yeah.
Why didn't the BRICS reform?
We know they were buying
Why do you
hoards of
think?
gold.
Well, they
too.
are. The central banks are hoarding gold. Not the U.S.
No.
Not Canada.
The American economy will crash in our lifetime. It's gonna crash. It's gonna crash.
I just saw the stats today that the debt just increased. It's gone up in the last quarter.
And they're going to blame capitalism. This is what the news is going to tell you. Capitalism broke us. All the greedy capitalists. Now we need a different system. We're going to switch to a digital currency that's tied to you, which is like going back to the Bible, the whole mark of the beast. This is what's going to happen in our lifetime. I swear to God. And everyone's going to lose their fucking job from AI. Guys, have a good night. The day the chains fell, quiet. No ticking clock of debt remained, no banker's hand, no ledger chained. The farmer's field, the maker's mind, breathe freer air for humankind. No interest gnawed the seeds we sowed, no hidden toll along the road. Each dollar born to serve, not bind. A tool of trade by all designed. A wealth no longer flown away, but circled back where people stay. A river kept within our land, poured into every working hand. That day the change fell soft, unheard, and freedom was not just a word.